The people that have power over British Columbia's forests, the leaders and decision makers in the forest industry and government, have a mantra that they are fond of reciting over and over again. It goes, "Forest practices used to be bad, but not anymore. Things have changed." Unfortunately, however, it is all too easy in 1995 to drive out into the forests of Vancouver Island and to find fresh evidence that BC's decades-long ecological holocaust is still ongoing. Transnational forest companies, aided and abetted by a weak and vacillating government, continue to maintain a stranglehold on BC's forests. Access to cutting rights is controlled through Banana Republic-like 19th century-style arrangements, such as the tree farm license. The much-touted Forest Practices Code, which is on the way, is supposed to end damaging logging practices such as this, once and for all. However, the code will be up against the greedy, cutthroat world of global commerce. As it now stands, the code will have to exist within the context of the bloated appetite that the world market has for BC's primary old-growth forests. This is an appetite, with transnational corporate clout behind it, that can only be sated by continued rapid clear-cutting. Thus, it is no surprise that the Forest Practices Code is soft on clear-cutting. Visiting logged areas during heavy winter rainstorms gives one a fine appreciation of the powerful forces of destruction unleashed by here and now 1995 logging practices. BC's forestry bureaucrats continue in 1995 to find themselves signing their names to cutting permits that produce results like this. In the process, exquisitely balanced forest ecosystems, thousands of years in the making, are having the guts ripped out of them. Often, water is directed off roads down slopes where there was no stream course before. The result is that a brand new gully is torn out of the mountainside, carrying precious soil with it that often ends up where it doesn't belong, in salmon spawning beds. Escalated levels of flash flooding related to logging that erode hillsides, wash out roads and bridges and destroy salmon spawning habitat continue to occur unchecked. This is what flash floods can do to a major logging road bridge. It is still standard practice to leave the smaller gullies on clear-cut mountainsides clogged with logging debris. This debris is formed into dams by flash flood runoff, which in turn results in silt and gravel building up behind the logging debris dams. When these dams can withstand the weight no longer, they break, and an avalanche of mud, gravel, and logging slash surges down the gully. Momentum builds rapidly to produce a catastrophic scouring called a debris torrent, which leaves an aftermath that looks like this. Much of coastal and southern BC's remaining loggable forest is on steep slopes. If the mills are to be fed, debris torrent-prone slopes are where much of the wood will come from in the coming years. With no forest left to intercept, absorb, and disperse the energy of the raindrops, rain on a clear-cut soon saturates the soil. Surface and subsurface water flows, intercepted by roads, get an express ride to the nearest creek, adding to the flash flood effect. Even our drinking water catchment areas have not been immune to water quality damaging forest practices. Clear-cutting has been epidemic. Here, in Greater Victoria's water supply area, stream bank erosion related to clear-cutting is all too plain to see. Much of BC's log harvest does not pass through a free log market. In order to be competitive on the world log market, prices are kept artificially low. The end result of maintaining artificially low prices for our wood is that we squander it while allowing a privileged few to reap big profits and high wages. These giant logs, obtained for rock-bottom prices in BC, create vast amounts of wealth and employment in Japan as they are painstakingly converted into ultra-high value-added end products. This is wealth, and these are jobs that could be staying in BC if the wood was priced at a free market level and if labor costs came down. BC citizens who own most of the wood like this that is left in the province are being taken for suckers by foreign log buyers. Some of these logs have been sawn in half. This is probably in order to easily demonstrate that these logs contain knot and decay-free, ultra-tight grain wood. Wood like this should be as valuable as gold, perhaps more so. There is no sign that the world's gold mines are becoming depleted, whereas high-quality old-growth wood is well on the way to becoming an extinct commodity. BC's plantation fibre farms, that are replacing our wild old-growth forests, are capable of producing only relatively small size, weak, decay-prone, low-quality, low-value wood. This is why selection management forestry, which can produce high-quality wood like this forever, must replace clear-cutting, which apart from wrecking our forest ecosystems, will give us only low-quality, low-value wood and less wealth and jobs in the long run.
We're sitting in one of the ghost creeks of Vancouver Island. These creeks used to flow year-round once upon a time when the mountains were covered in old-growth forest. But in the decades since the old-growth forest on the mountains behind me have been logged, every year these streams dry up between spring and late fall. And that's because the way that the runoff occurs every year has been radically changed by the logging of the old growth on the mountains. What happens is that all the water, or the vast majority of the runoff, happens in the winter and spring, and by the time the summer comes around, the flows die off, so that the flow is now underground, it's hidden. And what else has happened is that the flash floods caused by the logging of the mountains have brought down large amounts of this bedload material, gravel and rocks, and have filled up the stream channel, so that the original stream bed is now buried many feet underneath here, so that streams that would have been accessible to salmon runs in past decades are now inaccessible because the stream has completely gone underneath the stream bed. We're in the mountains behind Ucluelet on the west coast of Vancouver Island. This area has been heavily clear-cut in the past, and what happens when you clear-cut in heavily very steep mountainous terrain is that you radically change the way that water behaves in the landscape. So the runoff patterns are completely changed. The runoff, when it occurs, is much more explosive, much more violent, and moves a lot more material down the stream bed. And this is what's happening here. Huge amounts of gravel and boulders are moved down the stream bed when the flash floods occur. And that destabilizes the whole stream course right down to the mouth of the river. And it also completely covers up the stream bed, so that by summertime the stream bed is quite dry. It doesn't flow. It's May 1995 now, and the stream bed is completely dry, and it'll stay that way until late in the fall. So what was a stream that flowed year-round when the whole landscape was covered in old-growth forest is now a stone desert, basically. This is absolutely devastating to the salmon fishery when clear-cutting occurs in steep mountainous terrain. Any kind of clear-cutting, be it small clear-cuts, large clear-cuts, it doesn't matter. Any amount of clear-cutting in steep mountainous terrain has a devastating effect on fish habitat, because the movement of gravel, the accelerated movement of this gravel down the stream beds, inundates the spawning beds lower down. It widens the stream channels. It changes the way the channels flow. It removes large amounts of large organic debris, these fallen logs in the stream, which are shelter for young fish, so that not only is the spawning habitat severely damaged, but the rearing habitat, the places, the hiding places for the young fish. And much of the actual habitat that the fish rely on for rearing dries up for much of the year. So because the behavior of the water has been radically changed in the landscape, the impact on fish and all other stream life forms is absolutely devastating.